Thanks for joining us today. My name is Namra Danovic, and I'm the Marketing Programs Manager for the Enterprise Division at Christie Digital. Again, thanks for joining us to learn more about Christie's 3DLP laser projection technology and software solutions. We have lots of exciting updates to share with you, but first we'll just go through some housekeeping items before our product manager rock stars Brad Martin and Joel St. Denis start their presentations. We want to let you know that we will mute all participants on entry, so you will be muted when you enter the webinar. Please stay muted as there is a lot of background noise when you unmute yourselves. So if you do have any questions, please submit them via chat, and we do have moderators in the webinar that will be kind of prompting Brad and Joel to answer them at the end of each of their sessions, just so we keep the flow going. We will be recording this webinar, and we will be sending you a copy via email for your reference and sharing with your company colleagues. So with that said, I will hand things over to Brad Martin, our Projection Technology Product Manager, to get things started. Brad?
Thanks a lot, Nem. Let me just share my screen here. All right, perfect. I think everybody can hear me. Everybody can see the screen. So we're going to talk about the 3DLP product training webinar today. As Nem mentioned, I am Brad Martin, and I'm the product manager for our projection lineup. So that's 3LCD, 1DLP, as well as 3DLP. But today's webinar will be focused solely on 3DLP projection technology. So the product training webinar, we're really trying to connect, inform, and educate. So connecting with all of our partners around the world. More now is important, especially because of the COVID. Trying to inform our partners of the latest 3DLP product offerings, as well as we're educating partners on our key differentiators for 3DLP products. A little agenda here. So I'll do a technology overview, and then I'll talk about our 3DLP product portfolio in detail. I'll pass it off to Joel St. Denis, who will talk about our software solutions, and we'll do a Q&A. So I always like to start with Illumination technology, kind of the platform, a lot of our products. So there is lamp, laser phosphor, and RGB laser technology. So our 3DLP product line supports all three of these technologies. Boxer uses 6 mercury lamps. Our Crimson uses laser phosphor technology. And Christie's a market leader when it comes to RGB laser technology. So we're building a strategy and platforms off of this RGB illumination system. And I'll go over the advantages and disadvantages of each one. Upcoming slides. So we do get asked questions about LED technology and if we're investigating it. And the answer is yes. LED's limitation is really the brightness you're going to get out of them. They have great color, but getting more than 5,000 lumens in a relatively small form factor is still a technology limit. So we move forward to the laser phosphor a bar there. So that's really our 3 LCD and 1 DLP. They're all laser phosphor technology using the laser phosphor illumination that Christie's developed. And then moving into the higher brightness segments, it's really pure RGB laser. And there's significant advantages of using pure RGB. And so we're going to categorize this as a good, better, best solution. So the best being the RGB laser illumination technology. So illumination, as everybody knows, is really just one piece, and Christie does have a lot of other unique offerings that go into our products that make our products world leading. Some of them here popping up on your screen. And putting all those things together along with our illumination technology really delivers world leading products. So this slide really just kind of illustrates all the measurable outcomes you get when you buy a Christie projector, right? So the higher frame rates, the contrast ratios, the connectivity, all these things that you see on screen, and what's going on behind the scenes are our illumination technology, as well as our video processing capabilities and features and functions that come with that. So we'll start talking about the 3DLP product line now. Right now we have Boxer. It's a 30,000 lumen lamp-based system. It's native 4K, so 4096 by 2160. And then in the middle of your screen, you're going to see Crimson. Crimson 31K just launched. It's 31,500 lumens. Uses our laser phosphor technology. It comes in HD as well as W resolutions. And then lastly, your flagship D4K40 RGB. It's a 40,000 lumen pure RGB native 4K all-in-one solution. Now we have one more that does fit into our RGB strategy, and this is our Mirage ST. This is a remote optical design, so it does require an external chiller and laser source, but does utilize RGB technology. So you can see from this diagram, if you have an application where you need a remote head, you can put the chiller as well as the light source quite far away, and you just connect it via a fiber cable. So kind of a unique application, but does fit with our RGB strategy. So let's talk about some of the customer value overview of the Christie products. So we talk a lot about color. Why is color so important? So if we start with Rec 709, the limitation here was really lamp technology and moving into laser phosphor. So Rec 709 has been around for a very long time and really driven by lamps, and then moving to laser phosphor, you're able to get DCI, or if you had xenon lamps, which most cinema products come with, you're able to achieve DCI P3 color space. So on the right side, there's a CIE chart, and the triangles kind of outline how much color that these like DCI P3 capture. And so if you move up to the Rec 2020, you'll see the triangle is quite big and it captures a lot of the colors, right? So that's a real advantage of pure RGB laser. You get the best colors, the biggest gamut, and perceived brightness. All this is kind of sciencey talk. So color is so important because of this guy. So this is Dr. Michael Poynter. He spent his entire life studying color, and he worked for Kodak in the research facility. He's published over 150 scientific papers on color, and he's written several textbooks. And so throughout his research, he's kind of come up with something he's called the Poynter's gamut. So if you see this CIE chart and you see this weird looking blob, I think you can see my cursor. And so what he's kind of defined this as is these are colors that you see in everyday life. So visually, you know, the greens of leaves, the reds on cars, and the blues and stuff that you encounter on a day-to-day. So he's kind of quantified this is really what the majority of the colors in the world kind of look like. And so if you circle back to Rec 709, DCI P3, and Rec 2020, you'll see that Rec 709 actually covers only about 36% of the visible spectrum, but it doesn't capture that much of what you see around you according to Poynter's gamut. So if you move over to DCI P3, you'll see that that actually covers a lot of what Poynter's gamut covers, as well as it covers about 45.5% of visible spectrum. And so when you move into Rec 2020 or pure RGB illumination system, you're seeing it's covering about 75.5% of the visible spectrum and 99% of Poynter's color gamut. So you're actually able to reproduce all the accurate colors that you're seeing in real life utilizing lasers and more. And so we say 75% of visible spectrum. So if you look at the entire CIE chart, that'd be 100%. But when you're getting into the very extreme greens, these are like neon greens, things that you don't really see very often. And so we tried to simulate what this kind of looks like. So Rec 709, underneath the buttons there, you'll see they're kind of dull. And this is what we've been used to looking at for a very long time. And if you see this in isolation, it actually looks really good. And then when you move over to DCI P3, it looks a lot better. And then when you move over to Rec 2020, you'll notice that the reds and the blues and the greens are just so much deeper and so much richer. So if you get these guys all out of the way, so you're getting a lot of benefits with pure RGB technology. So you're able to reproduce more of the real world colors and achieve precise color matching. This is really important when you're trying to do things like corporate logos and whatnot. It also provides the freedom to create colors on screen, previously not possible with Rec 709 and P3, so basically no more limitations. And what's really neat about laser technology is the intense color saturation. So you can have a much dimmer bilumen laser projector beside a lamp or a laser phosphor product, and it'll the perception will be, it'll be a lot brighter just due to the richer colors. It's the way the human eye picks up the colors. So good benefits there. So that's a lot about the illumination system. So now we have a lot of tools that allow our product to be used in many complex projection setups. So I'm going to leave a lot of these to Joel St. Denis. He's going to go through our Christie Twist, our Mystique, and our Guardian capabilities right after me. And Christie True Life. So this is really the heartbeat of our products. This is our video processing technology. It's been out for a while. It's a market leader. It can do very high frame rates, 4K resolution at 120, 480 frames per second at 2K resolution. Almost any video signal you throw at it, our True Life Electronics will process it and make everything look very good and smooth. These are some of our target markets and applications that our products are used in. So you can see there's quite a few: rental staging, large events, houses of worship, education, large-scale outdoor mapping, cruise ships, and theme parks. We'll dive a little bit deeper into the products themselves now. So Boxer's been out for 4 or 5 years now. It comes in 2 SKUs, so the Boxer 4K 30,000 lumen, native 4K, as well as the Mirage 304K. So when you see Christie having a Mirage product, this really means that you're enabling your 3D and your high frame rate capability. So if that's your application, you're going to need to look for a Mirage SKU. So Boxer includes the True Life Electronics. This is input based, so if you have a certain video formats you want to input to the projector, you can just purchase that option card. Again, it's native 4K, so 4096 by 2160. All of our 3D LP products are omnidirectional, so no restrictions in any angles or axes you want to use to project an image. Support for Mystique and Guardian as well as Twist, and the ability to process 4K 120 Hertz. So the key performance recaps here. So native 4K. So why is this a big deal? There's lots of products on the market that are not native 4K. They're 4K UHD, or they're using some actuated technology, and they usually achieve 3840 by 2160. So a slightly different aspect ratio between 4096 and 2160. 30,000 lumens. When Boxer launched, it was the lightest and brightest 3D LP in its class. Probably still is today, making the size and the weight very attractive for our customers. We also have some intelligent features built into the Boxer. So we have NSV capabilities, so you can download the Christie Tap app. You can simply use your phone to tap the NFC reader on the side of the product, and it'll give you all the information about the lamps. We have a built-in preview screen. Now this is on our D4K40, our Crimson, as well as the new product I'm going to talk about at the end of this. And this allows you to control the projector, quickly see any alarms or status updates, as well as a built-in thumbnail view. So you can actually see the image going to the projector, so you can ensure that your sourcing, your cabling, and everything is performing correctly before you actually unshutter or put the image on the screen. And again, omnidirectional. All the 3D LP products are omnidirectional. This is an example of a use case for our Boxer. So court and arena mapping has been quite popular. I think we're in over 20 arenas and stadiums. And this is just a simple example I took for the Pepsi Center, doing court mapping for the Nuggets, as well as Capital One Arena projecting on ice. So Boxer, really good product to project on any surface, multiple applications, pointing down, pointing across, any omnidirectional installation. This is a Crimson. So Crimson is laser phosphor technology. It comes in HD and WXGA resolutions. It's 31,000 lumens. So this is the next generation. We had a 25K, so we launched a 31,500 lumen product. It's in the same form factor, so you're getting more brightness in the same size. It does utilize Christie's bold color technology. So what separates us from our competition is most competition actually only uses blue lasers to generate their light source. Christie actually uses red lasers as well as their blue. So we're giving you the more accurate color reproduction compared to our competition. It does come with True Life electronics, omnidirectional, and Mystique and Guardian and Twist support. So key performance recaps here. So bold color technology, a very bright 31,500 lumens, Mystique and Twist, both market leading for warping and blending capabilities, as well as camera-based alignment system in the industry. And we are one of the only manufacturers that still offers a native HD resolution, as well as WXGA. This is Crimson being used in the wild here. So it was illuminating the tallest statue in the world in India. So we used over 50 Crimsons to light this up, and our partner actually won an award for the record lumens on the tallest statue in the world. We do have a new website, so www.christielaserphosphor.com. So this talks about all of Christie's laser phosphor offerings, Crimson, as well as some of our 1DLP and 3LCD products. This is our flagship D4K40 RGB. This is a all-in-one pure RGB native 4K product. So there's no other product like this on the market that's an all-in-one pure RGB solution. It comes in 3 SKUs, D4K40, Rode 4K40 RGB, which is just a ruggedized version, comes with handles. for ease of rigging, and then the Mirage version. So this enables the higher frame rates and the 3D capabilities. Pure RGB illumination, true life electronics, omnidirectional, easy to rig, native 4K, and an all-in-one design. So no external chillers or light source or anything like that. This is actually a real picture taken from one of our products rigged, just displaying a color bar pattern. And so I thought it looked kind of cool. So easy to rig to a truss, amazing colors using the RGB light source, all in one concept, decent power performance, decent size for 40,000 lumens. There's lots of key features here. I'm not going to go through them all. It talks a lot about our video processing, our high contrast lens options, as well as our long lasting light source. Here's an application for a D4K 40 RGB. We are a partner at the Dubai Expo 2020. And so we're going to illuminate the Al Wasal Dome, which is at the center of the Expo 2020, using over 250 D4K projectors. To give you guys an idea of the size of this, it's 150 dome, 67.5 meters tall. So the D4K 40s will be positioned all around the bottom of the dome, projecting so everybody can see it on the inside as well as over an aerial view. The content will be viewable on both sides, actually. So hopefully this gets up and running soon. So that was all for the actual physical products, and now I'm going to talk about Christie Conductors. So this is a piece of software we just launched. Christie Conductor is an advanced monitoring software for our 3DLP products. So if anybody remembers Power Tools, this is kind of the predecessor to that. So it supports Boxer, Crimson, Eclipse Pro Venue, Mirage ST, and D4K 40. It is a free tool, and you can access this at christiedigital.com. Click on any of the supported products and go to the downloads, and you can download your free version today. So I'm going to walk everybody through it so they can just get an idea of what the software does. At the top, there is your control bar. It should be highlighted in yellow on your screen, so you can actually show projector IDs. You can select your test patterns, turn on and off projectors, open and close shutters, as well as execute some service commands. On the right side, this is what we're calling the status map or the heat map. So each of those boxes is actually a connected projector. So this is actually running in a demo mode. And when you download the software, you can actually enable demo mode, and it'll just generate fake projectors, so you can actually play with the software and get familiar with it. On the left side, this is a projector list, and so you can sort, filter, rename. So if any of your projectors that are connected, you could, have them in various locations. Truss 1, Truss 2, Truss 3, meeting room 1, 2, and 3. So easy to sort, easy to find, easy to navigate through the list. If you click on a box, so this little pop-up, this little tooltip pops up, and it says the power status is standby, the projector is shuttered, but the status is okay. If we click a green one, it'll highlight on the left side, and you can see that it's on, the shutter is open, and the status is okay. If you want to change test patterns, you can just select the test pattern button from the top, and all the test patterns that the projector supports pop up in a little thumbnail view, and you just have to click them. If you're doing multiple projector setups and you want to see the difference, maybe their overlap, for example, you can make one red and one green, the color output, and then you can see the overlap region would be yellow. So you can actually change the colors here too. If one of your products had an error, it would show up in red, so you could double click on that and quickly see what the error is. If you double click on any of these squares, it will pop up the web UI for the projector itself, and you can do further diagnostics or control through that as well. Up here we have service commands, so you can actually upgrade your projectors through this tool. You can pull integrator files, you can reboot your projectors, you can sync all the times between them, as well as you can send serial commands. So when you click serial commands, a small API pops up and you can send any of our supported serial API commands through this tool. You can click the gear, and this actually pulls up the preferences. So this is where you activate demo mode. So we can support up to 256 projectors, and we've tested it with 256 projectors. So you just click activate, it'll populate projectors similar to what I have on screen here, and you can get familiar with the software. So you don't actually have to connect them to a Christie digital projector. All right, so I'm going to talk about an upcoming product. So we're hoping to ship this fall. We're very excited. It's going to be another market leader. It's the Griffin. It's a 30,000 lumen ANSI, pure all-in-one laser projector. It'll look a lot like the D4K40, but significantly smaller and lighter. So some of the highlights, again, it's going to be an all-in-one pure RGB projector, 30,000 ANSI lumens. It's going to utilize our TrueLife Plus electronics. So this is our next generation. There's some performance improvements we've made to the laser diodes, noticeable improvements to the sound levels, and it's going to reuse the Boxer lens mount. All the lenses, the 4K lenses that are supported on our 1.38-inch DMDs, so Boxer, Mirage ST, and D4K40 will be supported by this product. So let's talk a little bit about the next generation video processing. So it has all the capabilities of TrueLife and more. So we're moving away from the option slot base that we've had for a lot of our products in the 3DLP product line, and we're just giving away all the connectivity to our customers. So I'm going to walk everybody through that. You're going to see it's got 2 HDMI inputs. This is HDMI 2.0, so you can do 4K 60 on a single HDMI cable. It's got 4 micro BNC connectors capable of 12G SDI. We'll probably offer adapters to go to a standard BNC connector here to make it easy for our customers to simply connect a standard BNC cable. DisplayPort 1 and 2 using 1.2 capabilities, so that'll be again 4K 60 on a single cable. And beside that, there's a Christie Link in. And so for those of you who don't know what Christie Link is an extender that's supported on our 3DLP products. It uses a fiber cable to transmit the video. And so we have Christie Link on all of our other products. However, what's neat about this one is there is a Christie Link 2 just below that to the right, and that's going to act as an output. So now you can actually daisy chain our products together, going in and out. We did not have that capability before. Beside the Christie Link is SDVOE. So Christie has a lot of connectivity for SDVOE functionality, our Terra product line. And so this will just be a solution we offer to connect SDVOE video to the product. USB-C, USB, Ethernet, keypad. So if you want to connect your wired keypad to it, HD-Base-T, which will use the same video processing capabilities as the HDMI inputs. Audio out, GPIO, RS-232, Christie Link out, as well as 3D sync in and out. So really giving away everything under the sun on this platform. Primary applications for this will be planetariums and domes, theme parks and attractions, rental and staging, projection mapping, large-scale events, and sports venues. You'll get all the benefits that were talked about earlier in the webinar with our color volume comparison. So this will be pure RGB, so you're getting that expanded color gamut. And this really aligns with Christie's strategy of moving to a pure RGB laser illumination technology, allowing our customers to display more accurate colors, nature, branded content, as well as IP. And we're really building a family here. So I've done a comparison. So those of you who are familiar with the D4K40 RGB, you can see the size and the weight difference on the Griffin. Significantly lighter, and this is due to just improvements in laser cooling as well as advancements in other technology. And so we're able to get the form factor down significantly and a big weight reduction. There'll be several rigging options for this. Some of the questions that have come in earlier was, will it fit in the Boxer frame because it looks about the same size and the weight as a Boxer? The answer is no. It has a totally different hole mounting pattern, as well as it's a little bit taller than the Boxer. But it will use the same long rigging handles as the D4K40, and there will be short rigging handles available. And what I mean by short rigging handles is they're depicted on the right side of the presentation, so you can see the short handles go across, and they're able to rig pointing down or any orientation really. There's also rigging couplers, so if you want to stack 2 products together, you can just buy the rigging couplers, and they're the same as the D4K40 RGB as well. Convergence mechanism will be the same. So this was launched on Boxer, and so we have a convergence mechanism that allows you to reach in and adjust some mechanical knobs. So you open the service door, and then you can project the test pattern on screen and adjust the same way as D4K40 as well as Boxer. But on this product, we're actually going to offer something else called digital convergence. So we're actually making the experience a lot easier. You can simply use the remote control. And so we're giving you red, green, and blue per pixel adjustment. So if your red was slightly out, you could actually just select the remote. The cursor will appear on the screen and you can just bring it in by moving it left, right, up, down. And everything will snap in using Christie's warping technology. So this is actually really cool. This is a really unique feature to Christie, and we think that we're investigating some potential integration with Mystique, so we can offer automatic convergence adjustment using our camera-based alignment system. So this is quite exciting and quite a better experience for the person setting up our products. Some preliminary specifications are up here. I won't go through them all, but again, 30,000 ANSI lumens, 4K native, and omnidirectional. Talking about some of the video processing, we support up to 480 hertz. Our lensing, our power requirements, liquid cooling, whatnot, size, weight. The supported lensing will be the same, so I'd like to go over this a bit. So we have high brightness lenses as well as ultra high contrast lenses. So HB stands for high brightness and UHC is ultra high contrast. So the trade-off here is the high brightness are really the standard lenses that come with the product, and you're going to get maximum brightness when you use these lenses, as well as a contrast ratio of about 2000 to 1. If you're looking for a higher contrast, the UHC lenses are for you, but you're going to suffer about a 30% brightness drop, and that's the trade-off. So you can see we have the range here in the table, so from 0.38 UST all the way up to a 5.4 throw. So that's all I have for the 3DLP products as well as their conductor software. I just want to say thanks a lot for joining, and everybody just stay safe and healthy. And I'm going to pass it over to Joel unless there's any questions for me.
So it looks like there aren't any questions in the chat currently. So if anything does come up in the meantime, please put them in chat, and then Brad and Joel will get to them at the end.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well and staying sane in these strange times. My name is Joel St. Denis. I'm the senior product manager for the software team at Christie. So I work on products that Brad mentioned, Christie Twist and Mystique, and some other software applications that we have. Today I'm going to focus on the following items. So here's the summary. I'm going to start by explaining what Christie Twist is for some of you who may not know, then how that led into Christie Mystique. Then I'll talk a little bit about the Mystique product family, the products that make it up, and then we'll get into an option called Christie Guardian, which applies to certain projectors and Mystique. Then I'll show you some examples of some Mystique installations that we have out there. Then I'll give you a sneak peek of what's next for Mystique. And finally, I'll give you a little bit of more additional information where you can find some extra info on Mystique. Okay, so first off, let's start off with what's Christie Twist. So Twist has been around for quite a long time. I started at Christie in 2007, and Twist was already a product being offered by Christie. It's ultimately a piece of software that allows you to warp and blend individual pixels, if you will, on supported Christie projectors. So back in the day, you had to actually buy a piece of hardware, a daughter board that you would put in some of the projectors to be able to enable Twist. But when we launched the M series platform in 2007, we essentially had the electronics built in capable of doing warping and blending directly in there. So at that point in time, we released essentially 3 versions of Twist. We have the basic Christie Twist, which is free, can be downloaded from the website and used with any Christie projector, which supports, which basically supports the Twist hardware. And we have a Christie Twist Premium and the Christie Twist Pro, which are both versions that can be upgraded to as well. So you can see here on the right, we have a picture of a statue, which Brad mentioned in his presentation, which was ultimately over 50 Crimson projectors, basically being warped together. In this particular case, they're using Christie Twist Pro to do this, which gives you as many points as you want. And when you're dealing with a 3D object, that's the ideal situation. So you can see down here in the corner, I have some examples of what the UI looks like when you're warping. You can see you have control points, and you can increase or decrease the number of control points based on how fine you want to get. And finally, the blending interface lets you choose the feathering of the blending. Now, the whole thing about Twist that's important to note is that it is a manual process. And what I mean by that is you're going to have to basically install the software. Let's say you have a 3-projector array of projectors, and then somebody's going to have to launch Twist and move those points, manipulate them, and control the warps and blends until they're fine. So that can be time consuming, especially if you don't have that much experience doing it, or if you're dealing with a large array with like 12 projectors, for instance, that are blended and stacked. So this is where Christie Mystique comes in. So ultimately, Christie Mystique is a camera-based system, which, if you will, automates the process that you could normally do with Twist. So the camera is basically able to look at all of the projectors displaying light. Then we put out a visible light pattern from each of the projectors. The camera then analyzes where that light lands from each projectors. Then it does the calculations for you. The software, I should say, does all the calculations for you in terms of determining which pixels have to be warped in or blended in order to be properly stacked and get a nice smooth image. So you can see over here on the right, we have an unblended 2-projector blend here, and it's probably hard for you guys to see, but the middle is also not correctly warped and stacked together. And then once you've run Mystique, it's one seamless image. And essentially it takes probably about a minute per projector, depending on the complexity of your projector array. So Christie Mystique is supported on all Christie 3 DLP projectors, which have built-in Twist capabilities, as well as our HS series products, which are our 1 DLP product line. So ultimately, any product that's capable of running Twist is compatible with Christie Mystique. So we have 4 tiers of products in the Christie Mystique product family. We have Mystique Essentials and Pro Venue, which you can see here, the 2 items in light blue. These are single camera versions of Mystique. And then we have the Premium and Large Scale Edition, which are the multi-cameras. So if you look at the top row here, you can see that Mystique Essentials is recommended for flat screen projected arrays. It supports up to 12 projectors in up to a 2x3 array. So what I mean by that is you could have 2 projectors high by 3 projectors wide, giving you a total of 6 projectors all blended together. And then you could stack an additional 6 projectors on top of that to give you a stacked 2x3 array. If you get into more complex situations where you either need more projectors or you're working on a curved screen, or as Brad mentioned, where you're in a sport venue, like projecting on ice, for instance, we have the Pro Venue Edition, which is still single camera, will allow you to select markers on the ice surface or the projection board to act as reference points to help the software align the projectors for you and blend them together. And then finally, when we get into more complex system, this is where the Premium and Large Scale Edition comes. And the major difference here is if a single camera is not able to see the entire surface, you're going to need one of the other editions. And in that case, what we typically do is if we have a project, whether it's for a planetarium or a theme park or something like that, or something more complex, we'll ask the customer who's interested to send us a 3D model of what they're looking to project on. And we have a team at Christie who are able to determine through simulation how many projectors and cameras are going to be needed for your Mystique system. And that service is free of charge. Essentially, it's done in good faith so that we provide you this information. We want to make sure you're successful, and then we give you the information you need in order to give you a price on the Mystique system in question. Okay, so next I want to talk about Christie Guardian. So Guardian, which came out in 2018 and won several awards, remains unique to Christie. It's the only camera alignment system which is capable of delivering this technology, which is basically doing the alignment I just described, which typically uses a visible light pattern. So we have to stop the content and then analyze this light pattern. What Guardian does is it actually turns that into an invisible light pattern that's constantly running. So the camera is looking at the projectors, and let's take an example of you're at a trade show, you have a 1x3 display on a large screen, and those 3 projectors are blended together, but the projectors are on truss, and as the day goes by, they slightly shift from one another. In a traditional situation, you probably are not going to stop your content to run in alignment. You're going to just live with it. But with something like Guardian, think of it as self-healing. It's able to analyze the fact that the blends have drifted, and it it corrects them on the fly continually without having an operator come in, and it's all done invisibly, meaning you'll never have a content interruption. The content will just snap and look correct. And unless somebody pointed it out to you, you wouldn't even notice. So Guardian does require the True Life electronics, which Brad mentioned. So it is only available as an option to Mystique for some of our higher end projectors that support True Life. So that's the Boxer platform, the Crimson series, the D4K40 RGB, the Mirage ST, as well as the new projector that Brad mentioned is on his way, is also going to be supported by Guardian. I'm going to give you a couple examples here of some installations that we've done. So this is one of the examples that Brad had mentioned. It's T-Mobile Arena, where the Vegas Golden Knights play. They have a Mystique Pro Venue Edition, so that's a single camera system. They're running 12 projectors in a 2x3 stacked array. So you can imagine, if you see my mouse up here in the corner, the left side of the screen are basically two projectors, one on top of another, and then three wide. So you have your 2x3, and then they stack them. So you get the double brightness and the redundancy. So you can imagine aligning that, if it drifts due to temperatures or just, being turned off, powered on, or they come in and use the venue for something else, it can be very time consuming. So by installing this system, they're able to align this entire arena in about 15 minutes. So it's very much a time saver for them. In the next one, similar, another arena. This one is at Pepsi Center, where the Colorado Avalanche and Denver Nuggets play. This one's interesting because they will switch between hockey and basketball. And you can imagine, if you can see at the pictures, the basketball court is much smaller than the entire ice rink surface. So imagine in a situation where you may have to move lenses and make sure you realign. And in this one, they actually have 18 projectors. They're doing a 2x3 triple stack, so it would take even longer to do this. So the beauty of Mystique is it's basically allowing them to decide whether they want to warp for basketball or warp and blend for basketball or hockey. Then the system does the whole thing in about 20 minutes. Finally, this is just another simple example that I wanted to show of a different arena using, this case, 12 boxers as well in a 2x3. And all of these are all basically being used for pre-show entertainment or between periods. People are trying to do more and more with visuals and projection. And through the projection and these tools, we're making that possible. So now I'm going to move into some Mystique Premium examples. The first three I showed you were Mystique Pro Venue. So premium means multi-camera. So in this case, this is the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority at Louisiana State University. It's actually a massive room. So if you look down here, you can see it's a huge room. And to give you a sense of scale, on the top picture here, I'm pointing at the feet of someone who's actually, the legs of someone who's standing there. So you can see this is massive. And they don't have a stack here. It's just a large blend of 4 projectors wide by 5 high. And essentially the entire surface is being turned into one visual canvas. You can see, you wouldn't be able to tell that you have a whole bunch of projectors doing this. It looks like one seamless image. Another installation example, this one was a smaller one, only 3 projectors, but it was a temporary event. So they do a festival every year in Amsterdam, and you can see here, this is just a projection of 3 projectors on a curved sort of quarter circle, if you will. And ultimately, the result that you're seeing in the top left corner is what we get after we've used the Mystique Premium Edition with multi-cameras. So this happens to be a 3 projector system with 3 cameras. And the reason we need 3 cameras is because of the size of the screen and the depth of the room. It wasn't possible to have single camera seeing all this. We have to use multiple cameras. And the last one I want to talk about is the Hayden Planetarium, which is American Museum of Natural History. This one's in New York, and it uses also the Mystique Large Scale Edition. It's a 4-camera system, but you can see the scale here by looking at the people. These small spot you're seeing down here, those are people's heads that are sitting there looking at the planetarium. Another thing that's unique about this particular one, it's obviously a large dome, and I'm showing you this in this image here. You can see all of the test pattern checks up here. This actually uses the Christie Eclipse projector, which is really the only projector on the market that's really giving you true black, to the point where when you turn them on, you can't even tell the projectors are turned on. It's really incredible. And you can imagine for something like a planetarium, you want to see the true blacks, and it's important to have everything be aligned. So when you're looking at stars, they're not looking like double stars. It's like one sharp star that you're seeing in the sky. So again, Mystique has become an invaluable tool for this application as well. So what's next for Mystique? Let me talk a little bit about that, give you a sneak peek. So there's still three major problems that we keep having our customers come back and telling us about. They like Mystique, but they're like, you know what, it'd be really nice if, you know, we had a way of having a camera-based system that compensates for colors between projectors or brightness uniformity differences. So you may have projectors that are aging at different rates because you're a stager and you rent them out, and some of them have more hours than not. So having a way to use some sort of camera-based system to correct that is something that we've been asked for a long time, and we've been working on it for a long time, but it's a difficult problem to solve. But we think we finally got something that we feel is acceptable. The other thing that we're trying to solve as well is projecting on less than ideal projection surfaces. And what that means is you can imagine doing projection mapping on a building, and the building is brown brick. You're going to obviously have some challenges in showing the content on that brick, or if you have a surface that's not uniform, you'll have some spots that are darker than others. So we also have a solution where we feel we can help as well. So what I'm about to show you here are things that we're hoping to release later this year as part of Mystique. So here's an example of the background compensation. So these are actual real pictures that we took in our lab. Now on the left, that's not an actual real brick wall. What it is a printed, we use the plotter to print a brick wall pattern and basically hung it on a wall. And so that's what you're seeing here on the first column. Then the second one is the source image that we want to project. So you can see we have the astronaut, the car, and the cubes. Then the third one is uncompensated. So again, these were just taken from a cell phone. So you can see the pictures. So you can see here, obviously, if you don't do anything for the first one, you're going to end up having something that looks like this. The brick is hard to see in the second one, but you can still kind of see it here in the red. And finally, the bottom, it's everywhere. So you have to trust me when I tell you that this last column is not a copy of the first one's pasted back here. It's difficult to see, but on the bottom one here, you can still kind of see the outlines where my mouse is of the brick. But we've essentially compensated by diminishing the brightness and the color spectrum to basically give us compensation for the background. So what's not obvious from these photos is that we do have about a 30% brightness loss on these, but it's a mode that allows you to compensate if you want to. So that's one of the things that we're adding. I have a couple more examples to showcase this. So on the left, it's the content we've projected. On the right, there's just some patio stones that we picked up from Home Depot. And you can see this is, if we were to project on this naturally, this is what you ended up getting, right? You'll notice that a lot of the bricks are much darker. So your image, it doesn't look much like the one on the left. But after we run our compensation, again, at the trade-off of brightness, you can see that we've greatly improved this. You can still see that there's where the bricks are really textured. There's still something going on there, but this is much more representative of the original image than uncompensated. And finally, the last one on this is to show you something that might be more common. Let's say you're projecting on a wall somewhere for something, or you have a screen that has a smudge or a stain. So on the left here, you can see, here, this is a wall in our lab where we purposely smudged the wall to test this. So you can see there's a big mark here. There's some marks over here. There's one above the jellyfish here. And on the right, it's compensated. It's hard to see, but you can still see the darker mark up here a little bit and a little bit down here as well. But again, we've had to adjust the color space and the brightness, but we can see an image that looks much better, arguably, than something being projected on a screen that's not ideal. Then we get into color and brightness uniformity. So in this example, you can see on the left, we obviously have two projectors which are supposed to be white. Obviously, the one on the left is having some serious issues. It looks more like it's light green. But using our compensation method and by diminishing the brightness, we're able to achieve what looks to be fully white screen. So one thing I'll point out again, you'll notice that the picture on the left is much darker around, but because the brightness had to be diminished, it seems brighter on the right, but that's actually an illusion. We had to drop some lumens in order to get this look, but you have you have something that's viewable as opposed to this kind of be, you'd have to get a replacement projector at this point. So if we look at it with content, you can see on the left side, this is uncompensated, and on the right side, you actually have the content the way you want it to look. Same thing with this next image. So that about wraps up what I wanted to talk to you about today on Mystique. The last slide I have here is essentially some additional information that you can obtain on Mystique. If you go to the Christie website and you type in Mystique, it'll take you to a whole section we have on it. There you'll find the Mystique product brochure with all the information about it, with some examples of some installations we've done that I've shown you some pictures of. We also have a chart that explains the 4 different editions of Mystique and their capabilities. There's a snapshot of it over here on the right. We also have a quick cheat sheet, which basically has all of the a quick sheet basically that has all of the information about Mystique, everything I've presented basically summarized on one page. And finally, if you go to the Christie YouTube channel, just type in, when you get to the Christie YouTube channel, just search for Mystique and you'll find a whole bunch of videos on there about Mystique, including examples of 3D projection mapping as well, which I forgot to mention, but the LSE edition allows you to do 3D objects with multi-cameras. You'll see examples of that. And there's also training videos on there which show you how to actually run Mystique and how simple it is to use. That's it. So if there's any questions, I can take those.
Thanks, Joel. That was great. There is one question that came in about the brightness drop. So is the brightness loss always about 30%, or is it proportional to the quote unquote issues?
It's definitely proportional. So, you know, if you think of it this way, the physics of light, you can, if you're trying to correct and compensate something, you have to go by the lowest common denominator, right? So if you happen to be, if there's something really dark on your screen as a stain, or you're projecting on brick and one part is dark compared to the other one, we're going to have to adjust for the lowest common point. So you could see a brightness drop greater than 30% if that was the case, to try and compensate. But that's the point where you need to choose, okay, would I rather lose brightness and have the colors and the uniformity look better, or do I just want to throw as much light as possible and adjust my content so that it's okay when it's over the dark area? So we're going to give you the choice. It's not going to be forced on you. You'll have the choice on whether or not you want to use the compensation. Anything else, Nem?
No, there's a question about flat panels. Something just came in. So there's a question asking, will the color correction be available on all editions of Mystique?
So that is the plan. However, what we're not, our goal right now is to make it work with at least the 1-camera system, which is on the Essentials and the Pro Venue. There is some different math that gets more complicated when you get into multi-cameras and doing the math. So our goal is always to try and have our features on all the versions of Mystique, but I suspect that the multi-camera will come later.
Okay, great, thanks. And there was another question, and I think this one is for Brad specifically. There's a question asking, how loud is the new projector? Boxer is loud, and they like to know what the difference is between the new one and the existing Boxer.
So we do have some preliminary measurements, and it should be quieter than the Boxer. There will be a Mirage version of the new projector as well.
Okay, any other questions for Brad or Joel? It looks like that is it for now, guys. So thank you for joining, everybody. Thank you, Joel and Brad. Oh, sorry, there's another one right here. They're asking, will there be a less bright version of the new projector?
A less bright version. Stay tuned.
TBD. Okay, it looks like that is all the questions for now. If anybody does have any other questions and they come up later, feel free to reach your regional sales managers directly. and they can contact Brad or Joel for any answers that they don't know about. So again, thank you, Joel. Thank you, Brad, for these great presentations. That was wonderful. Everybody else, thanks for joining the webinar. We hope you enjoyed and found the information very helpful. Thanks again for joining, and stay safe and healthy. We'll be sending you copies of this webinar shortly after this. Thank you.